You're listening to the Multiverse Fan Cast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
My name is Oliver Queen.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
My name is Kara Zor-El. I'm from Krypton.
Everyone, this is my cousin. I guess you already know. Okay, I think I have this. Oliver.
Green Arrow.
Dig.
Spartan.
Thea.
Speedy.
Okay. And Sarah.
White Canary.
Jax. And Professor Stein.
Firestorm.
Ray.
Palmer. The Atom.
And Nick.
Oh, Heatwave.
Always a pleasure to see you, Lucy.
Hello. I believe we've met. Lucifer, Morningstar. Consider us even, John Constantine.
Constantine.
Is it? I don't care.
Be ready. All right, then. On with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fan Cast. Don't forget, you can take us on the go with Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or any other listening stations. You can also check out our content on the website, themisfitfaction.com. You can find us on Facebook. We have the Multiverse Fan Cast and the Misfit Faction Facebook pages, as well as Cinematic Adventures. And don't forget to check out our YouTube as well as our Instagram. This way you can get in touch with us with any social media platforms you desire. All right, so today we are going to be talking about a character study for Superman. I know there. These things. Before we get started, I have with me, as always, Paul. Paul, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm just doing so well right now. How are you, Ron?
I'm doing well, thank you. And we also have our official third guest host, Rob. Rob, how are you?
Groovy.
Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, we are going to be doing a character study on Superman today. We've done these in the past. But before we get started up, we do have a bit of news to go over. Paul, what are some of the news things we wanted to hit on?
Well, we have mostly Marvel news for today. First and foremost, Sony has come to an agreement with Netflix to distribute, have exclusive distributing rights all of next year for their movies. Big move, especially considering those movies also include, a little franchise, Spider-Man?
Spooderman? Spider-Pig?
Good old Spider-Pig.
Spider-Pig.
The entire Spider-Man franchise, which is, I think you and I, Ronnie, we talked off air about this, where it was more just Sony was like, screw Disney?
Yeah, right?
Screw Disney and Marvel? Yeah. Because for those of you guys who don't know, Sony and Marvel came to an agreement to use Spider-Man to share them. But
a tentative agreement.
Very tentative.
Yeah.
Because Marvel gets the majority of the profits from Spider-Man. They get all the merchandising rights, all the the comic books. He's one of the I think he was actually ranked the most profitable
it wouldn't surprise me.
Comic book character of all time, which Spider-Man, we get it.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun to have a Netflix exclusive because Netflix really They still have, but like the market's so saturated with streaming, like
that they only have their original stuff. They don't have other properties, other companies' stuff coming to them.
Just a lot of original stuff.
Yeah, a lot of original,
which is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I have to say, even this week, like Timmy was looking to watch a lot of Spider-Man, and we had trouble finding it, like because it used to be solely on Stars, and now you have to get a Stars subscription to see it, and so he ended up having to purchase it from Amazon just because he watches them a lot, but they're not really on a dedicated streaming service. So that'll be nice to have it finally there.
And coming up next, we have Marvel taking a little play out of the DC the DC book, but doing it way faster than Warner Brothers.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
If any of you guys have been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and if you have, check out our reviews written by Rob every week on the misfitfaction.com in the Misfit Corner section. There was an episode, I believe it was episode 3.
It was.
Which featured just a single shot of Daniel Bruhl, a.k.a. Baron Zemo, dad dancing in a club.
And he looked cooler. He looked sort of cool.
He looked cooler than Tobey Maguire.
I think it helps to know that he also killed a lot of people. Not Daniel Bruhl. I don't know his personal life.
Yeah,
but,
he might have. I don't know.
Possibility.
Matthew Broderick did. But that's a true story.
Yeah.
What?
Matthew Broderick killed someone.
When? What, like
in a car accident?
That's involuntary manslaughter. Did he run them down?
I don't know. But
a little bit of both. No.
It was the principal coming to check on him on his day off. But so there was a big push. I guess Marvel said that there was like 10 minutes of Zemo dancing. So there was, a la Justice League, they had released the Zemo cut.
Yep. We clamored for it, and they delivered.
And if you want, you can actually check that out. I believe we posted it both on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
And it's just delightful.
It's cringy.
It's so cringy.
I mean, it's delightfully cringy. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
I'm glad they did it. And he does. Like, I thought he was a cooler dancer in the show, and then when I saw the full video, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that is dad dancing.
Yeah.
Because they picked the best one.
So yes, Release the Zemo Cut is another fan-based release success story.
Yeah, right.
So congratulations, fans.
But you know what? I'm okay with it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm just glad it only took a couple days.
I know,
whereas
right?
Justice
13,
League was
because Marvel got scared. They're like, no, we don't need this.
Yeah.
We don't need this. Now we also had new trailers for Loki and Black Widow. We're not going to spend too much time on them because Loki, I think, comes out
June 11th.
Yeah, so like right after. Is there anything in between, Falcon?
No. Well, the initial plan was to have Black Widow released at the beginning of May, and that was going to take us up to Loki, and they pushed that back to July 9th, I think it is.
Yeah.
July's going to be a fun month.
Yeah.
Got a few things. But yeah, so we saw the Loki trailer. I know I enjoyed it. It kind of shows what they're doing.
I'm extremely looking forward to Loki now.
Yeah.
I already was. I love the character. I love Tom Hiddleston. And the first teaser that they put out was really interesting, and it was cool that the things that they were going to do. This one really, I thought, blew me away, and I'm thrilled. I cannot wait until Loki.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything else on?
No, that pretty much covers our news for this section. So we're going to move on. We're going to start into our character study of Superman now. First thing that we are going to be discussing, I believe, is the Hope, the Superman symbol.
Actually, it's like a river.
Oh.
It's like your car keys.
It's an S.
Oh,
Stands
it's an S.
For
S for
sexy.
super, right?
Sexy. But yeah, we're gonna talk about first the Superman symbol. Arguably, Rob. Hold on.
Give him a look.
I have to preface it. Arguably one of, if not the most iconic superhero emblems. Like, Batman's very iconic. And I'm not. This isn't a dig against Marvel, but they don't have a whole lot of symbols that immediately think.
Yeah.
No.
Spider-Man probably. Like, you see the spider symbol, you know Spider-Man.
That's about. Yeah.
I really can't.
That's about it.
You know, Captain America's shield.
Right.
But that's not
Iron Man. You know what his arc reactor?
Well, in more recent years.
Yeah.
I think the branding of superheroes is really more of a DC type thing.
Yeah, they're the logo. They go the logo route.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the original symbol was just supposed to be an S for Superman.
Yeah.
I believe they started with the police badge looking one.
Yeah.
And then the diamond one, and it's been consistent. They in more recent years they've added a lot more lore to it, Kryptonian lore, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Mm-hmm. But you know, it became the crest for his family. Then it means hope. Sometimes it's still just an S.
Yeah.
At one point, it was inspired by a Native American symbol that was like a snake, and it was for healing. Like, these are all things that happened in the comics.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about Superman comics in particular is it's fun to watch them age because Superman's been around for almost 85 years, I think. Like,
yeah,
we're getting
1940.
Not 1938.
38 was it?
So yeah, we're
Action Comics.
Yeah, we're apparently in Action Comics just sold for almost record-breaking $3.64 million.
That's about right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
something like that. I mean, that's crazy. You know, it's a testament to Superman's staying power, and the symbol is super iconic, and everybody you see it, you know it. It's like McDonald's, the M, you know, the cross if you're religious. Like, it's a
Coca-Cola.
It is the symbol, and everybody always thinks, when they think superhero symbol, Superman is usually the first one that jumps in. Now, I think the next thing we're going to move into is a little bit more of the lore of Superman. You know, Krypton has always been a very important facet. Unfortunately, there's only like 2 versions of Krypton that we ever really get. Did any of you guys watch the show?
No.
I saw the first half of season 1, and
we're talking about the show Krypton.
The actual show Krypton.
What was that on Sci-Fi? Or?
Sci-Fi, and then they moved it. I think it's on HBO. I think you can watch it on HBO Max.
Okay.
But the most iconic version is obviously the Richard Donner, the Christopher Reeve era. It's been kind of the staying power of Krypton, and of course you have Kryptonite. Fun fact for those of you guys who don't know, Kryptonite was actually created for the radio show because they needed to give the actors breaks and what can defeat Superman. So they actually created a weakness for Superman, and now Kryptonite, just like the symbol, is iconic. Like we use it in common phrasing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's permeated, regular talk when someone will say, "Oh, that's my kryptonite" or something. You know, and they don't even think about Superman anymore. They really associate it with just a weakness.
A weakness, yeah.
Sort of like Achilles' heel. Same idea.
Very similar thing. But and then the last part that we want to talk about before we take a quick break, I think, is the Superman suit. Arguably, again, one of the most iconic superhero costumes of all time. Are you
a underwear on the outside guy?
Ooh, deep debate.
It depends on the suit. I'll be honest, and it also depends on how the underwear looks, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say in real life. But let me
isolate that.
Yeah, right. I do the editing, so negative on that one. But simple reason, you get like a Kingdom Come Superman, where they're more shorts.
Yeah.
They're not so much like the tighty whitey style.
Tight.
Well, I don't know what's Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come was a storyline, and it's what inspired the Brandon Routh Superman with the red and black S. Very good comic book storyline. If you haven't read Kingdom Come, it's fantastic. But I would say no underwear.
No underwear.
Granted, the full blue was a little jarring when we first saw it with Henry Cavill. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we like about each Superman when we get into particulars. But I'd say
you're more of a free. What's the term when you don't
free balling?
Free balling.
No, not that one.
Going commando.
Lord, that's the one.
You said free first.
Commando.
So
I'm thinking. Is it camouflage?
Free bird.
Commando. Yeah. So you're more of a commando kind of Superman.
I know.
What about you, Rob?
I do.
It's tough, right?
It is tough, and I think it comes down to also the type of Superman that I'm thinking about too, because there is a certain earnestness with the red underwear on the outside, a certain
vulnerability.
Not even that, but just like a more of an all-American kind of style to that. Whereas with the underwear on the inside or commando, it's sort of more of a brutalized warrior Superman, whereas the other one is more of a standing for truth, justice, American way kind of Superman.
That's fair. For me, it's the colors. The darker the colors, the more aggressive the Superman costume, the lighter. And we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big topic of debate. But what about you, Ronnie?
I kind of agree with both of you in a way. Like
it depends on the Superman you're getting.
It depends on the Superman you're getting. Like. For instance, you have these guys that are like a Henry Cavill or Hoechlin, where they're big guys, they're built. But then you have like Brandon Routh, who's in good shape, he's not that big. Even Christopher Reeve wasn't that big. So like having
George Reeves, not big at all.
Yeah. So like having the underwear on those smaller actors, it makes sense to put the underwear on. But when you have those bigger, meaning size-wise, not stardom-wise, it makes sense to have them going commando. Okay.
I'm looking at all the Superman memorabilia,
and then also with that bright blue suit, you need that red to break it up. So that's where the underwear comes in.
We're looking at one poster here, which he has. He's commando,
New 52
but
Superman.
He has like a red belt kind of on, which does break it up.
I like that.
I think there does need to be a breakup.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
As long as they keep the boots also red, I think that also makes a big difference.
Just on a side note for you older listeners, you might remember Underoos a little bit. I don't know if were Underoos even around for you guys?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that's
Underoos?
probably
isn't that what Iron Man called Spider-Man?
Yes, it was.
Weren't those the cookies you dipped in the frost? Dunkaroos.
So from our older listeners, yes, Underoos were something that was big for us when we were growing up, and that having Superman Underoos was a big thing because you look just like Superman in the underwear. So I think there's a fondness for us older folks having the red on the outside underwear too, because it reminds us of that.
That's fair.
A little nostalgia.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to take a quick little break right now. And when we come back, we're going to go a little more in depth on the actors who have portrayed it.
But first, a quick break.
I'll deal with you later. Stay put. I'll be back in a flash.
Back in a flash. Wow. Does he say that often?
Too often.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Hope you had a nice break. We're going to be getting started on our in-depth discussion on Superman now. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about all of the movie actors first, and then after we talk about those, we're going to move on to our TV actors. So we're going to get started off with the one, the only, Christopher Reeve.
You will believe a man can fly. That was the tagline for the 1977 Superman. 77? Am I right about that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
If not, it's all right.
I was.
Wow, someone's old. We won't say who, though.
I was 3.
He was wearing his underoos.
That's funny. 78, by the way.
78.
78.
4.
Close enough, though.
I was negative 11.
I'm not saying I remember the 70s. I'm just saying I was alive during it.
The product
There's a difference,
of the 70s.
right? But yeah, so Christopher Reeve, he was, the first one we got
he
on
was the
film?
very first movie Superman.
They had done movie serials up until that point. They had a lot of like Superman versus the Mole Man and stuff like that. But in terms of big
theatrical release,
this was and a lot of people still credit this movie for starting the superhero movie.
Yeah, it really did.
So Paul, what are your thoughts on Christopher Reeve?
Well, like a lot of people, Christopher Reeve was my first Superman.
Mm-hmm. You always remember your first.
You always remember your first man. Super or not. But anyway. Yeah.
Isolate that.
I still do the editing, so.
Not anymore.
Slowly unplugs everything. Hey. But like Christopher Reeve, he had a gravitas about him. And we're going to bring this up because it's going to be like when we do our ranking at the end, I'm going to give you guys categories for you to decide. Because if you guys listen to our Batman character study, which is linked on our website, we rated Batman for a series of qualities, right? His physicality, his demeanor, his detective skills, like all, and that's how I think we ended up saying that Ben Affleck was.
Yeah, he did check a lot of boxes.
The best version of Batman to screen. Not to say he was the perfect Batman, but we're going to do something similar with this. And one thing that Christopher Reeve did better than any other Superman was the Clark Kent Superman distinctions.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve's depiction of Clark Kent really inspired a lot of different things. You got like the Fleischer era of animation where they did the same thing, where Clark was very soft-spoken, he was very timid, but this was the clumsy, bumbling, but fastest typewriter I've ever seen Clark Kent, and it's really stuck for a lot of iterations. I don't have a problem with Clark Kent as a character being assertive, and we'll talk about that when we talk more Henry Cavill. I don't have a problem with that because it's always the conversation people have. It's, well, why don't people realize that Clark Kent is Superman?
Well, because he's got glasses.
It's Ronnie. So we're not going to harp too much on it, but it's a very big part of his character with, Superman and Clark Kent and that depiction. For me, it's always a very important part. And he changed his posture. He changed the way that he spoke. He was bumbling and then he was confident. And Christopher Reeve, in my very humble opinion, did it best. So that's my thoughts on Christopher Reeve.
Did Christopher Reeve was he the first one to do the Superman curl?
I think. I don't know. That's a very good question.
I believe so.
But
I think everyone before just had like
just coiffed,
like that 40s, 50s like slick back
well,
kind of like with a widow's
I have
peak.
a lot of Superman memorabilia in the studio. In some of those pictures, like especially the comic ones, he has the curl, but
I think he's the first one to put it on film.
But also a nice nuance was Clark Kent and Superman had their hair parted different ways. It's like little things like that make a big difference. Rob, what about you, Christopher Reeve?
Christopher Reeve, I think for me, probably encapsulates everything that Superman should be. I just watched a YouTube video the other day, and I highly encourage you to watch it. The YouTuber is called Patrick H. Willems. He did a piece about R-rated. Should superhero movies be R-rated? And he discussed that, overall Superman and a lot of these heroes were made for kids. They were made for 8 to 12 year olds. And he talked with a lot of people who were in the industry and quoted Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and a lot of them said they were aiming for 8 to 12-year-olds, that was their target audience. And I think that Superman has that sort of sweet Boy Scoutish kind of earnestness to him that Christopher Reeves, I always get that wrong. Is it Reeve? Yeah, Reeve.
Yeah.
That Christopher Reeve brought to the role, because he was just you really felt as if he was doing good for the sake of doing good.
Which is a very big part of Superman. And just so we remember, Christopher Reeve, George Reeves.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I always get them confused too. Ronnie, what about you, Christopher Reeve?
Kind of like everyone said, he's the first one, other than Rob, the first one we saw anywhere. I'm just kidding.
What do you mean, other than Rob? I was not alive in the 50s,
How was the radio show? Did you have to turn the dial a certain way?
This week on the radio show, we'll be listening to Superman getting handled by Lex Luthor.
But, he's the classic go-to, I think. I think when you think Superman, he's the first one I feel like comes to most people's mind. But, he portrayed it very well. I would like... It's just a shame because the movies are not... Like, quality-wise, like, back then they were great, but, like, imagine seeing him in today's world. So with the special effects and stuff like that.
That was a big point. Like, me personally, I love practical effects.
Yes.
I think they are always a little bit better, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's funny to imagine that Christopher Reeve Superman can fly so fast that he can like turn the world back in time and all that.
Yeah.
But then when they like show him just taking off, he's like, dun, and like 3 miles an hour. I think also the Christopher Reeve Superman movies have a lot of nostalgia appeal.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, because they're calling back to the comics, to the action comics from 1938.
Also, I think that like a lot of us, like it was my first superhero movie. I know that for a fact. As a kid, it was my first superhero movie, and I'll always hold it in high regard. But I remember I tried watching it, like the first one, and I'm like, the first 20 minutes, I'm like, this really drags.
Yeah.
Like Marlon Brando, he was like over the role before even like there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and this isn't like a Superman movie episode, but we could do a whole episode on Superman the movie.
I think we could do a whole episode on Marlon Brando and Superman.
Oh my god! But there are very few. Like it's not until he becomes Superman in Metropolis, and I will still say the helicopter scene still not only holds up, but it is one of the top.
I got chills when you said that.
Me too. Sean, our co-host from Cinematic Adventures, and I were talking about Zack Snyder Justice League the other night, and he was saying, there aren't a lot of scenes in that movie that are like the wow scenes.
Yeah.
And we said the same thing. Like Avengers has just the one wow scene when you really think about it, the circle spin.
Yeah.
Like it's a good movie, but it's not like. And then you get to Avengers Endgame with Avengers Assemble. But for this, like Superman saving that, and just the way he says to the pimp, "Excuse me," like so polite, but like at the same time, like I acknowledge you, but I'm busy.
Yeah.
And then when he catches it, and easy miss, I got you.
Yeah.
You
just
got
catch
me.
it. Like you've clearly like when she's falling off the hill, off the building, and he catches her there. That's something that I like so much more about this Superman is that he smiles when he's saving people. Like it's not a burden to him. He's just so happy to do it, and he just wants to do the right thing. Whereas Zack Snyder's Superman and Henry Cavill's is different. I'm not saying it's necessarily worse or better, but it's nice to see a Superman that's happy to be Superman, because that's sort of like the 8 to 12-year-old kid fantasy of I want to be Superman because I would be happy being Superman. Like nobody looks at Henry Cavill, no 8 to 12-year-old looks at Henry Cavill and goes, I want to be like that guy because I love how brooding and conflicted he is.
Well, I feel like modern day Supermen are modeled after your older crowd now because we all grew up with those younger ones. So now they're going, well, because comic books, unfortunately, comic books and superheroes are not as prevalent as they once were,
and they're not for 8 to 12-year-olds anymore.
Yeah, so it's a product of its time, and that's why you don't get so many kids, watching these movies really, unless they're watching it with their parent or older sibling or someone like that.
Now, here's the argument I want to make, because that is a great point, that they're not 8 to 12-year-olds anymore. And Patrick Willems in his video and some of the older creators actually cover that. And that's okay, because they said, well, why did we get darker as we went? It was because the people into these comics aged with it, and that's great. But the problem with that is that at some point we're all going to age out of it, and there's not going to be that fan base. There's not going to be that fan base anymore, because one of the creators, I wish I could remember his name, was talking about it's okay to have R-rated stuff and gritty stuff, but it shouldn't be the mainstream thing. You should also have, the stuff that does appeal to 8 to 12-year-olds, because eventually those people are going to grow up and get into the grittier things too. So you're going to lose your fans. And I worry about that with superheroes, that, especially with DC, and not a knock against them, but I'm just saying that, DC is so focused on the gritty, down-to-earth, stuff, that I think they're alienating some of their younger viewers, and those people aren't going to grow up to appreciate the gritty stuff.
They need to go kind of the route of Toy Story. Toy Story was a film franchise that gracefully aged with its audience.
Yeah.
Where by the third one, the kids were still laughing, and the adults were feeling an existential crisis of growing old when all the toys are about to die. And then they made a fourth one we don't talk about.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even see. Harry Potter's another sort of approach to that too. That we grew up with Harry Potter alongside him.
Yeah.
And now they've sort of gone back a little bit with Fantastic Beasts, which sort of has that wonder factor for kids again.
Yeah.
Even though it's not that good a movie.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna keep moving on. We're gonna now jump to another person who actually has portrayed Superman on film and in TV. Yeah, quote unquote. So we're going to be talking about Brandon Routh right now. So he was in 2006's Superman Returns, and he also played on Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW.
There's a hand in the back.
Okay, this
That's
is
from the Peanut Gallery.
This is Paul, the one of, if not the biggest Superman fan you'll ever meet.
Actually, that's very true.
Yep.
I hate Superman Returns.
I feel like most people do.
I passionately hate it. There are maybe 2 scenes in that movie, and I'm sure anybody who's seen it knows the plane scene, and then his little montage of saving people with the machine gun.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I despise that movie.
It's Kevin Spacey, isn't it?
Well, now it is. He had a little boy on that boat.
Uh-huh.
Too soon.
Ouch.
But,
why?
My problem is Batman Begins came out at around the same time.
Yes.
So about a year prior, we had Batman Begins. So what were we all thinking at the time? Cinematic universe. Marvel was just getting their sea legs. Okay. They Iron Man, I think, came out right before.
Iron Man and The Dark Knight came out in the same year.
And Smallville was still at its height, so I was watching Smallville. This movie, we don't need. It was I'm trying to put my words together.
He's really struggling,
because my thing.
All the emotion is building up here.
I really like Brandon Routh.
Yes.
I've met Brandon Routh. He's a really cool guy. We love him as Ray Palmer, and I was thrilled when they said they were going to let him be Kingdom Come Superman. Mm-hmm. He looked fantastic. Him in Crisis on Infinite Earths redeemed him as Superman for me.
Yes.
But this movie, he was trying too hard to be Christopher Reeves because it was a sequel to Superman 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just did not do it for me. And I like James Marsden. I really like James Marsden. I thought he got a bad deal as Cyclops.
Who does he play in Superman?
He plays
Returns?
the boyfriend of Lois Lane.
Okay, yeah.
The Superman comes back to Earth after 5 years, not telling anyone where he's going, and one of the first things he does is spy on Lois Lane. Like creepy. But like the trailer first came out and they had Marlon Brando doing they could be a good people, Kal-El, they wish to be, and then it cuts to him in space, and some of those effects still really hold up, and it's like really good. But God, it's a terrible. It's just a bad movie.
It's 2.5 hours of.
Yeah, and also Brandon Routh, good for him. he's not hiding anything in that costume, and sometimes it caught my attention in at the worst time. Like the promotional photo is him standing on like the fake Kryptonite landmass thing, and it's just like oh, good for you.
Yeah,
we're still family friendly, but
you can see the outline.
I've never noticed.
Yeah,
you can see that sock in there.
Yeah, when we talked about the sock in there. When we talk about the costume, like I have grown more. I've enjoyed more the more armor Kryptonian type look that we got with Henry Cavill and in more recent comics than the traditional spandex. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Brandon Routh's Superman. I really liked him in Crisis, but and he looked great in Crisis. That costume was ripped from the comic books. Like I love the Kingdom Come look. And yeah, I mean, really, otherwise.
And it was Bryan Singer that did that one, right?
And that makes it worse too.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah. Rob.
All right. Now I'm not as an in-depth Superman fan as Paul is. So my knowledge is a little bit more limited. I will say that having rewatched Superman Returns maybe about 3 years ago, it was way better than I remembered it. I remember when I watched it, it was not interesting. I remember being bored. I remember it just not clicking. When I rewatched it, there were things that were still way off. There were plot points that I didn't think were very good. I think, Kevin Spacey was a horrible Lex Luthor, I thought. Gene Hackman is still one of my favorite Lex Luthors. But
I thought you were going to say Jesse Eisenberg.
But only because he's Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
I don't think he's an accurate Lex Luthor, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed Brandon Routh. I think because he harkened back so well to Christopher Reeve in terms of the look, in terms of the sort of Boy Scoutish goofiness to him. There was a certain sweetness to him when he's not spying. I liked the costume. I just thought, that it was misguided. And I think Bryan Singer didn't really fully understand he understood the character, but I think he didn't really understand the storyline. And remember, Bryan Singer was also coming off of X-Men, where he definitely understood X-Men, but just this, it doesn't click on so many levels.
Yeah.
It's not bad, and I like this. I like Brendan Routh's Superman. And yes, Crisis absolutely brought him back well.
Yes.
And it was neat seeing him and Ray Palmer in sort of the same things and seeing how different his portrayals are of those two characters.
Yeah.
But he's still up there for me. I like Brendan Routh's Superman.
Awesome. I kind of want to go back to the whole thing with Christopher Reeve. So he, like Paul was saying, he tried too hard to be Christopher Reeve, and that's why it wasn't that good.
He was also a deadbeat dad.
He didn't know he had a kid.
He knew at the end.
Oh. And what did he choose to do? I forget.
I'll always be here. I'll always be around.
See ya.
Where's that child support?
Yeah, right? So I think when you have such a great portrayal of a character and then you get this one, I think your expectations are he needs to be Christopher Reeve. And he knew that. He knew if he wasn't near that, no one would like him. I feel like he should get, or he should have, got a little redemption and had another movie. Because especially now seeing him in Crisis, I feel like how
good he could have been.
Yeah, like that's what we wanted in Superman Returns. It's not what we got, but you know what? It's never too late to throw that storyline in.
In Superman Returns, were they setting up a Superboy?
I think they were trying to make him more relatable.
Okay.
Yeah.
By having a human, like a real, like something you can relate to. And that's when we talk about Superman and Lois and Tyler Hecklin, we're going to talk about grounding Superman in the right way as opposed to other ways they've tried.
Yeah.
The way where I was going with this was I feel like every time we're making a movie like that, we're looking more towards sequels than we are. Like you're saying, we should have had another one.
Yeah.
That you're probably right, because they intended to have another
Yes.
one. Whereas I wish they would make movies more of like, we're not thinking about that. We just want to tell a good story.
Yeah.
And if, like the only one that pops up in my brain right away is Black Panther. Like Black Panther is its own isolated story. It has a definitive beginning, a definitive end. There's a character arc that goes throughout that movie. And yes, it's part of a cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watched just Black Panther, you would still be okay, and you would feel satisfied.
Yeah.
You would still want to live with these characters in future movies, but you didn't need to. Whereas
Yes.
I feel like too many, and this isn't a DC or Marvel thing, this is an overall movie thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking more towards sequels and franchises than we are just telling a good story.
Yes. All right. Awesome. All right. We're going to keep moving on right here, and we're going to go to our final film, Superman, and that's going to be Henry Cavill. Is that how you say it?
It's Cavill.
Oh, it's the
Witcher.
mustache.
It's the Witcher.
Yeah. It's the mustache guy.
Mustache
Throw
guy.
a coin to your Witcher.
It's toss a coin. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Gosh.
I sing it every time I kill a spider in the house.
I feel like we should have Paul talk last, because I feel like he's going to be the one that talks the most
He's gonna
about this.
gush the most.
Yes.
Actually, you may be surprised with how I feel about Henry Cavill's Superman.
Okay.
Oh, now we're definitely making the people wait for
Yeah,
yours.
yeah,
So
I'll
we're
go
going to
last.
start off with Rob. Rob, what are your thoughts on Henry Cavill?
So
as Superman, not a person.
no,
He's
yeah.
very nice in
as
real
a
life.
person. Oh, he actually, I love how geeky he is, and apparently
Yeah.
his wife is too.
He really is like king of the nerds.
Yeah, I saw videos of him making small little figurines with brushes that
Yeah.
have like two bristles on
bristles,
it.
yep.
He's like the
Miniature.
Jack's 40-year-old
Oh,
version.
yeah.
Now I change your blue pants to red.
I love his commitment to the role. I actually really like him. I just don't like the environment he's in. I feel as if it is the whole conflicted Superman thing. I feel it's a disservice to him and his character. There's no joy in it. There's no kid that's gonna, like I said, no kid that's gonna look at that and want to be that. I really did like him. Like, I remember seeing Man of Steel for the first time in the theaters, and I actually liked it in the theaters. I kind of looked past a lot of the movie's flaws, and I liked him. He's serviceable for me. I think the suit works. I think the S as a river is kind of stupid.
That was a Joss Whedon thing.
Was it?
Yeah, that was completely a Joss Whedon thing.
That's right. It was in the
that was
beginning.
the cell phone footage.
But his physicality is intimidating, which is interesting. That's a far cry from George Reeves, who really didn't do. I don't think he did a single push-up in his life. From the looks of
Just
him,
lifting the beer can.
that's fine.
What's wrong with
whatever
that?
he wants to do. But he was. I don't know. Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to go before Paul. I think he is a great Superman, but not a good Clark Kent.
Oh no, he's terrible as Clark Kent.
Yeah. I think there's been better Clark Kents, but as far as Supermen go, he's up there. I don't know if he's going to be the best.
I'm
You'll have to
actually
find out later.
going to argue with that with you
yeah?
on that one. Yeah, a little bit.
What
On the Clark Kent thing?
I think he's a better Clark Kent than a Superman.
I'm just shocked that
Really?
nobody looks at him and goes, "Superman, why did you put on a suit?"
Yeah, because that's my thing is he doesn't really change anything
No.
other than wearing glasses.
I'm going to address that too.
He's a master of
he
disguise.
changes his voice a little bit as well, but he's still got the posture. He's still got those muscles. The hair is the same. Like nothing really changes about him except putting on some glasses and then obviously wearing a 3-piece suit instead of a onesie.
And being a negligent reporter and not covering the football game.
I'm going to argue
Yeah.
that one with you too.
Okay.
He could
I
be in
put
two
I
places
put a
at
fair amount of
once.
thought into this.
All right.
All
Yeah.
right.
No. Let's hear from our resident Superman expert.
Expert.
And I don't say that
Experts.
facetiously. I really
Yes.
mean that.
Yeah. So I'm going to address certain points. Number one, first of all, physically, he embodies everything about Superman. He looks like
Comic book wise.
Yeah, I would say, like the physicality of
Yeah.
Henry Cavill. The only other superhero actors that really catch it for me, like when I think actors who look like the superhero should, it's always Cavill, Hemsworth, and Evans. Those are the three that
Yes.
always come to my mind. Like, Chris Evans looked like Captain America, you know, and Chris Hemsworth, he's only getting more and more jacked.
Yeah.
Anybody can play Bruce Banner. Anybody, like, I'm not trying to take away from certain actors, but like,
you mean physically speaking?
Physically speaking, like, those are the actors that really embody the way the character should look, should act, should mannerisms, that sort of thing. And Henry Cavill, he's a beefcake. Like, there's no other way to say it. Like, he's
Nom 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 nom.
he specifically wanted the one shirtless
That was not
scene.
me.
Yeah, that was a little weird, but
That was Paul.
he asked for the one shirtless scene so that people would see that it's not a padded suit. Like, I know
Are
Zach
you talking about in Justice League?
in Man of Steel.
In Man of Steel.
And then it just kind of carried over. But, you know, Zachary Levi got a lot of crap about his suit and it being a little bit padded. I'm also
But
going
he
to talk.
got big too.
He got in shape.
He's primarily a comedian, though.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to say the same thing about Tyler Hecklin. His new suit is a little too padded for me sometimes in Superman and Lois, but like, because he looks different than he did in Supergirl.
Yeah.
But again, still a guy in great shape, but he doesn't have that V taper.
Yep.
To get a little bit more appreciation for Clark Kent, I watched the extended cut, and watching him, he cared more about people as Clark Kent than he does as Superman. Sometimes it felt like he was like chasing this story about the Batman and how he's, you know, quote unquote been terrorizing. I also like a Clark Kent that stands up for himself, that like stands by his convictions. Like, he argues with Perry about the stories.
Yeah.
You know, yes, negligent. He should have been doing his job as well, Rob. But I enjoyed seeing a Clark Kent that everybody wasn't just stepping on him.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the Superman Clark Kent thing, number one, most people don't know that Superman has a secret identity. Like, we know as the viewers.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going.
So, like, if I saw somebody, I'm like, oh, that's Superman. Why would I know? Like, I always just assume that Superman is just wearing his pajamas, you know, his super pajamas, flying around all day. That he lives in his ice fortress in the Arctic. That's a big thing about Superman, is people don't know he has a secret identity,
so they don't know to look for it.
They disassociate.
Right.
It's just like if I see somebody when they, you know, get a haircut or change or wear glasses who I don't. We've all done it.
All right, I'll give you that. Considering that, you know, like, as a teacher, if I see a kid on the streets and they're not
taken
sitting,
back.
they're not sitting. No, I'm talking about me.
Yeah, you're taken back. Yeah,
because they're not sitting in that exact desk that I'm used to seeing them in every day. Then it's like, wait, who's? Oh, wait, yeah, I know your name. I have trouble recalling.
Or even
it.
look at COVID right now. People are just covering from their chin to their nose, and we're like, who's that again?
Yeah. I have a lot of trouble recognizing.
It's so funny because at work I'm like I see like the kids like pull their mask down to get water. And I'm like, that's not the face I thought you would have.
I didn't recognize you by the back of your head. But for me, that's the big thing about Henry Cavill, especially. I do agree that he does not do a whole lot of differentiating, but also it works for me. Mm-hmm. In terms of him as Superman.
Hold on, go back to the physicality for a minute, because I have a question. How important is the jawline?
For Superman?
Yeah.
Not as important as Batman?
Correct. I agree with you on that.
But
because there's no cow.
It has to have a certain.
You can't have a bloated face, essentially.
No, he can't. He can't look like he has a glass jaw.
So like Chris Farley as Superman just wouldn't work.
It would not. No, that wouldn't work at all.
Actually, that would.
That'd be
so
great.
watch
I would
that.
so watch that.
That would actually be very entertaining. But I think
the best one ever.
Yeah, it's like
Seth Rogen as
I mean, he was a superhero.
He was the Green Hornet, yeah. Which I think that's got to be a podcast.
Yes, that's on the list.
Oh, is
that
it?
is on the
Okay.
list.
We have a list of potential things.
But for me, Henry Cavill, I feel I agree with Rob. He's not working with the right material, but he's doing the best he can with it.
Yes.
As far as conflicted Superman, I don't have a problem with it in one movie. It's the fact that we're at Justice League at this point. He's still moping. That's where I'm like, all right, like, I don't mind him having a very human conundrum, like a very human like identity crisis.
Right.
In Man of Steel, it really works. In Batman vs Superman, again, we always say there should have been a movie in between.
Yes.
We're missing that. I would very much like to see, because Zack Snyder's Justice League more set him up to be more like, all right, I am Superman. It's who I am. I'm going to help the team. I'm going to go
I'm going to be the leader of the pack.
I'm going to be geeky. The literary term is Bildungsroman, where a character comes into their own and learns to be who they are and embraces their identity. And Man of Steel is very much a Bildungsroman, where he is developing, but then it's like, okay, the next movie is also him developing into his identity, and so is the next one. And it's like,
but for me, I look at it as him creating the identity for himself, and then him presenting that identity in Batman vs. Superman, and the public being, no, we don't like it. We don't trust it. It's a very modern day reaction.
Yes.
Which I appreciated more upon multiple rewatches of Batman vs. Superman, both the regular and the extended cut. It's a very human reaction to if I mean, we're sitting here, it's April 10th, 2021. If a guy floated down from the sky right now in a brightly well, not that bright, I'm sorry, in a costume with godlike powers, and he's like, I'm here to help, I'm gonna save you guys. Look at us and John Walker. Most people hate him. Yeah. And the world was like, here's your new Captain America, and the world was like, no.
Nope. We don't want it.
Well, they are now, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
someone needs to catch up.
Yeah, right? Sorry.
But the last thing I'll say about Henry Cavill is I hope he's not done, and I hope that if they do a Man of Steel sequel, it has to be him as being the celebrated Superman. People have to be happy he's back. I want to see him rescue a cat out of a tree, and I hope that kid doesn't get smacked afterwards, because they do that in the Christopher Reeve Superman. Mommy, this guy flew down and didn't I tell you not to lie?
That's right. You hear smack. Ah.
I want a sequel. I want Henry Cavill's Superman to be that, and I also want like a challenge for him. Unfortunately, with Steppenwolf in both Justice League versions, it showed that he's too powerful.
Yeah.
I want this Snyderverse to be this was another video I was watching, that like the Snyderverse is just like Zack Snyder seems to misunderstand the role that violence plays in society, where he just has gratuitous violence for the sake of it being cool instead of it being a commentary. Like they were talking about Watchmen, about how in the comic for Watchmen, the violence is very like matter of fact. It's not cool, but Zack Snyder makes it cool in Watchmen, which kind of goes against the entire concept of what violence stands for in these universes, and that Batman is slaughtering people left and right, and we're like, wow, look at that. That kind of just goes against the whole concept of what violence plays in these. And I long for, it seems silly to say, but I long for the Brandon Routh Superman that was just a do-gooder.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a Superman movie. Like, don't get me wrong, watching him and Zod go at it, and him and the other Kryptonians, thoroughly enjoy it. It's like, that's the little kid in me
when
going.
They're on the street level there?
Street level and the Battle of Metropolis. Like, both of those fights, I'm like, this is what I wanted from a Superman movie. We watched Godzilla vs. Kong, and we're like cheering as millions of people are dying. Like, we're like, yeah, big monkey. But
like, screw John Walker.
Yeah. I would be okay if they do a Superman sequel to have the big action set pieces, like, you know, the plane scene from Superman Returns, but also he needs to throw up, he needs to be physically challenged. But also that's why Lex Luthor's supposed to be such a good villain, because he's supposed to. Sometimes you can't punch your way out of something.
Undermine them.
But I think that's going to wrap us up.
So that's going to wrap us up for our movie actors. We're going to switch over to TV. We're going to start with our modern day portrayal, and that's going to be Tyler Hecklin.
And probably our longest discussion on TV Superman.
Yeah. So he's portrayed Superman in the Supergirl series, as well as the current series going on right now, Superman and Lois.
You want to go first this time?
I can go first. Sure, might as well. I feel like so it's a tough one, because I do like him as Superman. We don't really see him as Clark Kent at all.
Not in Supergirl. He does say lickety split though.
Yeah. But in the new series he's in, the Superman and Lois one, you really see him more as Clark Kent than Superman. And it's good to see the human side, because whenever you see Clark Kent, you only see him like here and there. But in Superman and Lois, it's basically 75% of it is
Clark Kent.
He's got his kids at this point, and everything's back living in Kansas. So I do like Tyler Hecklin. I like the suits. I do enjoy.
I
his
didn't
suit.
like his first suit when they first showed it because it was a departure with the cape straps and the darkish yellow S.
Yeah.
Like I said though, Tyler Hecklin's in great shape. Like he was on Teen Wolf for a long time, and I remember when they cast him, I was like, really?
Mm-hmm.
But for me anyway, he really encapsulates the Superman. Like the first scene you see him in, he's on the phone with Perry. He's like, "I'll have it to you lickety split."
Yeah.
No, I know nobody says lickety split anymore. But the opening to Superman and Lois, that opening scene where he kind of like talks about where he is, and like it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the suits, I do think that his current suit is a little padded.
Yeah.
Just in the shoulder type areas, just to give him a little bit more
of a wider frame.
Yeah, because
he does seem like a slight physique.
He's very slender, but like he's ripped too. Like which you know. But in Superman or in Supergirl, they never went out of their way, and he still was intimidating. And still, one of the best scenes in this all the series is when Oliver Queen finally meets him.
Yeah,
and he puffs up, and Barry goes, "Are you puffing out your chest?" He's like, "Yes." But he has this earnest level about him. He seems like just a nice guy, and you can understand why people don't like his kids. They're like, "You can't be Superman. We know Superman. We've seen Superman." Like, and then they're shocked. Like, it's a really cool, and that was all in the first episode.
He's a little bit more relatable. As we bring up towards the kids, he's a little bit more kid friendly than Cavill.
So they do what Man of Steel and that series should have done.
Yeah.
Where when he saves things, like when he's doing his Superman thing, he is all confidence, not arrogance, just confidence. Like there's a scene with a bridge collapse.
Yep.
He doesn't go in there like, all right, what do I have to do? What if I mess up? Like he just goes in and he does his Superman thing.
Yep.
But then when he goes home, he's having trouble.
That's
he's conflicted. And like there's a great scene in Batman vs Superman where Superman's watching a newsreel. Like, must there be a Superman? He's sitting there like he's just disheartened, but he had just saved a bunch of people. If he had just been smiling while he saved the people, the whole scene would have been different.
Yeah.
I really think that this show it caught the right balance finally.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing about Superman because everybody says he's boring and not relatable.
Yeah.
Rob, you're a parent. I'm sure there's nothing more relatable than seeing a dad struggle with his son.
Having watched now, remember, I have only seen the first episode of the show, and I have to say it was authentic. And it was neat because it was more of an ensemble piece where it wasn't so much about Superman. Like that's the good thing about Tyler Hecklin is that he does blend into a cast, whereas Henry Cavill clearly sticks out, and so it was more of like a family drama, and I thought it was very authentic and sincere in terms of the way he dealt with his kids.
Yeah, it's just I think he's one of the best portrayals of Superman. Even though it's only been 5 episodes and a couple of Supergirl and Crisis stuff.
Yeah, because he's got that good blend of Clark Kent and Superman, while all your other portrayals have either been too much Superman or like not a good Clark Kent. He balances
what was
out.
that WB family drama?
Gilmore Girls?
No, it was like
One Tree Hill.
Maybe it was the one with the father.
Seventh Heaven.
Maybe you know what I think it was actually.
I remember Seventh Heaven.
Yeah, it almost feels like a superhero Seventh Heaven.
A little bit. I can see that.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, Tyler Hecklin is probably.
I'm so impressed that you got that from the show with the father.
Yeah, I know, right? The first two I was just making fun of you.
Wait, did you mean father as in father or father as in like priest?
He's a priest,
as well.
He's a priest in it.
Oh no, I meant as in dad, but you figured it out anyway.
But so in terms of TV Superman, we wanted to really just talk about Tyler Hecklin. I'll really briefly mention because I think I'm the only one here that actually watched Smallville.
I saw like one, 2, 3 episodes.
Yeah. So the reason we are not going to do a discussion on Smallville, besides the fact is that I'm the only one that's ever seen it, was he wasn't Superman in it. He was Clark Kent trying to become Superman. It's a 10-year journey to become Superman, and then we don't even really see him in the outfit. So as much as I love that show and I have such rose-colored glasses for it, I can watch that show and be like, I love this. It's cheesy and corny and out of date in a CW show, but he's not Superman in it, and he doesn't. You don't see him. He doesn't really even start creating the Clark Kent persona of the bumbling reporter until the last season. Everybody should know who Superman. And they play way fast and loose, like even worse than Justice League and all that.
Wow.
And then George Reeves, obviously.
What about Dean Cain?
He was next on the list after
sorry,
George Reeves.
Sorry.
George Reeves was great for the time. You know, he was very committed to the role. He was the one that decided to do the swinging into frame and the trampoline out of frame. Like he was committed to the role, but it destroyed him. It destroyed his life. Yeah. You know, if you guys are interested in a story about that, watch the movie Hollywoodland.
Oh, with Ben Affleck.
With Ben Affleck as Superman, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And he sleeps with Diane Lane, who plays Martha Kent. Why did you say that name? And then lastly, Dean Cain. I know I didn't really watch Superman and Lois.
No,
I did.
Yeah,
I was into it.
So
he was dorky, which was fun. Like I can remember when he first met Lois. They introduced him. He's like, "Who's that?" And they're like, "Clark, are you okay?" And he's actually floating like 4 inches above the ground because he's just not aware. He's so awestruck with Lois, and it very much focused on their relationship, which is I think where the new Superman and Lois like. It's called Superman and Lois?
Yes.
I think the title is actually a misnomer because it's not so much about their relationship as it is about their family. Whereas, like, you know, Lois and Clark was about the relationship, they were smart with Superman and Lois to throw the kids into the mix.
It made a big difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it was because it could have been derivative of Lois and Clark, and it's not because of the kids. But he's fun. He's dorky. He's you know, he still enjoys and relishes his role as having superpowers and everything. Yeah. And he's fun. He was good for the time, but I don't know how well they stand up now.
I would have loved to see him living on Earth 90 during Crisis, because that's where Barry Allen, John Wesley Shipp's Barry Allen was.
Yeah.
Earth 90. But is it time for us to?
Yes.
Very briefly, we didn't mention Nick Cage.
We're not mentioning Nick Cage.
Anyway,
his glowing suit.
So before we wrap up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about who our favorite portrayal has been. You could do
not the best, just
not the
our
best,
personal
our
favorite.
personal favorites.
Completely subjective.
And I will allow you, gentlemen, if you want to, you can pick a TV and you could pick a movie, or if you want to just do one.
I might just pick one.
All right.
I'm all right with that.
All right.
Who's going first?
Who wants to go first? Rob? Okay. Rob raised his hand.
It's because Rob doesn't ever host the podcast.
I'm working up on my confidence for that. I think I might have to still go with Christopher Reeve.
Okay.
That he just, when I think Superman, that's what I think of, you know, putting aside, you know, Quest for Peace and whatever Superman 3 was called. I actually think I still enjoyed Superman 3 with Richard Pryor. I still think of Superman. When I think Superman, I think him. He just is the comic book come to life for me.
Yeah.
With the smile, with the Superman curl, with him standing with the arms folded, floating in the air. I love he loves being Superman, and we love watching him, and that's what Superman for me should be.
Okay.
That's fair.
Paul?
This might be controversial. I might have to lean towards Tyler Hecklin. And I'll explain my reasoning why. First and foremost, when his very first episode on Supergirl, he goes out of his way to say hi to the kids afterwards with her. There's a great shot of him protecting this family, and then he turns and he winks at the kid and then flies off. Like those very subtle nuances. He is just having fun, and it's like Rob said, he enjoys what he's doing, and he enjoys being Superman. He gives Kara all this advice, and you know, him and Lois have such a great relationship where one's not more important than the other. Unfortunately, Margot Kidder, like her Lois Lane was just I don't hold her in high regards as far as Lois Lanes go anymore, because we've had really good portrayals of Lois Lane. But like watching him now be stuck between Superman and his family. Yeah. I really wish the Justice League was actually like a thing in the Arrowverse, because they planted the seed and then they haven't done anything with it. I really like, as much as I love Henry Cavill. I really do. I'm a big fan of not only his work as Superman, but his other bodies of work. And he looks the part. He definitely can do Superman. Even when in the Joss Whedon version, we got to see that glimpse of the more optimistic Superman. But because it was just a mess of storytelling, I have to treat Henry Cavill's Superman as an Elseworld Superman at this point. And that's the only way that I really am like, I want him to have the right Superman movie to end with. But again, as much I love Christopher Reeve, I really, really do. I think he is just a grade A Superman, but like I have to look at my checklist, and it's the suit, it's the story that he gets too. Unfortunately, the Superman movies, they really go downhill quick.
You mean Christopher Reeve Superman movies?
Yeah, like oh man, like it's hard to watch.
Yeah,
I haven't rewatched 3 and 4 in years.
They're atrocious. Even three's not what. Whoa, wow.
I remember watching number 3 endlessly in the 80s and loving it, but I
it
was
is
like
not
10.
Yeah. But I think I'm gonna have to actually go Tyler Hecklin.
All right. So I'm gonna be a little complicated here.
Ooh.
And that's the end of our show.
Yeah.
And we'll see you.
No.
Smorgasbord. Oh, sorry.
So I think Cavill is the best looking Superman, meaning like physique wise, not like.
I'm assuming you mean in the suit, not like out of the suit.
Yeah, in
okay.
and
I don't
suit,
mean that
like,
to
yes.
be cheeky. I'm
No.
serious.
In the suit, he looks the best. Christopher Reeve portrayed the character the best.
Okay.
But neither one of them were my top. Because of the perfect blend of look and portrayal, I'm agreeing with Paul.
Tyler Hecklin.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't disagree with you. I'll let you finish. I don't disagree with you guys. I just think it's too soon.
That's fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it can change. Obviously, he could get knocked down and then
get back up again.
And then get back up again.
Right.
But
and then punch us all in the face.
I feel like if he keeps going the way it has been, he's going to be the best.
Yeah, I think he's got that potential.
Yeah. And now if for whatever reason it takes, 180 turn and starts going downhill, I would go with Christopher Reeve over Cavill. But right now I'm gonna say Tyler Hecklin just because he's got that perfect blend. He's got the look, obviously not as well as Cavill does because he's not as big and everything like that, but he's still got a little bit of that V shape to him. He can fill out a suit, but his portrayal as Superman is just a little bit under what Christopher Reeve had done. And then I feel like he's also got one of the best portrayals as Clark Kent as well. So I would have to vote for Tyler Hecklin.
Now, before we end, we do have to do a very special birthday shout-out for Timmy of Timmy's Corner fame.
Timmy turned
13.
13. He's a teenager.
Woohoo! That's terrifying.
Wow, world. I wonder how Rob feels.
Does Timmy have something to contribute to the episode?
So I texted him and
birthday
he said,
shout out for the
first of all, I said, "What's your opinion on Superman?" And he said, "I don't remember a thing about Superman," and because he thought I was talking about Justice League.
Oh, okay.
And which is, I think, a commentary a little bit on Justice League. And then I said, no. Overall, in general, he says, I think Superman is a good superhero, and he shows a symbol of hope, and he's pretty helpful, and I like that.
All right.
And then Lauren chimed in, and she said she wants the mustache cut released.
Nobody wants the mustache cut released.
Don't we all, though?
No.
Oh,
no,
never
good,
mind.
Thank you.
No. All right. So that's going to wrap us up for today. We would love to hear your thoughts. We did do a little poll on Facebook and Instagram, and we had a couple people answer and give their opinions. We had, Cavill, and I think really it was just Cavill. We had Paul's name get mentioned. And then we had somebody else answer off on Facebook. Well, I can't remember what they said, though. Does anyone else remember what
Pretty sure my wife said Christopher Walken.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She did.
Said Christopher Walken.
Yeah. I think that was all the responses we get.
On there. Channing Tatum is the best Superman.
He was actually very funny.
He was
Anybody
really
got some
good.
kryptonite?
Yeah. But yeah, so that's gonna wrap us up. If you have any thoughts on Superman or anything in general that you would love for us to talk about, you can definitely reach out to us. Paul, how can they go ahead and do that?
By buying us dinner first.
I wouldn't say no.
I wouldn't say no. You can find us on Facebook at The Misfit Faction, Multiverse Fan Cast, or Cinematic Adventures pages. There we update with all of our new content. Every Monday you'll see our new episodes. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitter. YouTube is the Misfit Faction Media Network because it was really hard to find a name, so I made a really long one.
Yay.
And on Twitter, I believe it's just Misfit Faction now.
Yep.
You can also find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and Instagram. Yeah, subtle as a brick. So anywhere you guys listen to podcasts, you can find our show. It really helps for you guys to subscribe and leave comments and reviews and all that stuff. It's the best way to help us grow and improve. And we can handle constructive criticism as long as it's not about Marvel, because then Rob, miserable. His hair
Not
just...
every Marvel movie's... Iron Man 2 isn't very good, you know?
Yeah, we know. But,
Anyway.
yeah, so that's that.
All right. Thank you for chiming in. I'm Ronnie.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Rob.
And we'll be back in a flash.
Smorgasbord.